And I'll call this meeting of the Champaign-Urbana, or rather the Urbana Public Television Commission to order at 12:04. And I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Mancuso.
Here.
Commissioner Cinder.
Here.
Chair Folk.
Present.
Commissioner Fuller.
Present.
Our newest Commissioner Wadsworth.
Present.
And Carol Inskeep and Marie Polk both notified us that they would not be here. And you do have a quorum.
Excellent. Does anyone have any modifications to the agenda they'd like to propose?
I want to bring something to your attention and let you decide how you would like to handle it. Under correspondence, I've noted something called the audience disclosure memo, which was an opinion from our legal department concerning the prohibition of requiring addresses when addressed by the public. We also have another communication from the Urbana Legal Department that concerns the setting of public input rules by each commission. Since that is actually an action item, I didn't know if you would like to move that to new business or if you would like to keep it under correspondence.
So you've grouped both of those under the audience disclosure memo now?
Well, I didn't specify that also existed.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to let you
my
decide.
feeling is that since it's not really part of our policies and procedures revision discussion,
No.
and since it was not on our agenda, I don't think it can be an action item. So we can discuss it, but I don't think it can be something.
Okay, the legal department says the commission needs to set those, so I'm just reporting what the legal department tells me.
We absolutely do need to set them, but we can't set them in this meeting because
Okay.
they weren't on the agenda.
Very good.
So I'm fine leaving the audience disclosure memo in the correspondence section. And moving forward with the approval of the minutes. I noticed one typo that is on here, not a big one, like 4 paragraphs down.
The W?
The W.
Yeah.
Unless that's a new, is that a different channel, or is that?
That's the Urbana United channel. Yeah.
I see.
Yes,
yeah.
I will correct that.
Other than that, it's, I guess, moved by Fuller
Yes.
Second.
and seconded by Cinder. Any comments or anything of that sort? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Carries unanimously. Moving on to the correspondence. Did we have any correspondence other than that memo?
Yes, we have several items in your packet. We received a comment from a citizen via the Citizens Voice form submission on the city website concerning her feeling one of our member productions was questionable. And I've included her original communication and my response, and we did not hear back. In response to her inquiry, however, we did change our procedures to include a content flag for our YouTube channel as well as for our live broadcasts for adult-oriented material. There is also the home address disclosure at public meetings memo. I did not print out the 9-page Office of the Attorney General detail of the case that resulted in that opinion. I have one copy of it if any of the commissioners would like to see it. The bottom line is you're no longer required or you're actually forbidden from asking the address of any public input audience members. And the other correspondence from the legal department, again, regarding the adoption of public input rules. And finally, a press release that was sent out regarding our awards from the ACM. That's what's all in your correspondence.
So just briefly, the audience comment was that something was objectionable, and your response was basically that we recognize that it may be objectionable to some users, and that's why we air it in a later
Safe harbor.
time slot,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the standard approach that we've taken to that.
Mm-hmm. And it always included the appropriate disclaimers on air.
Mm-hmm.
But we now have added those disclaimers to the body of the program itself, so it also
Mm.
appears on YouTube.
Okay, good.
One quick thank you for including in your response the fact that this is a multi-tiered channel and that it's not that was not a government program, it was the public access wing. So I just think
Exactly.
that's important for us to continually reinforce to people so they aren't confused.
Exactly,
Thank
and
you.
I think that was actually the focus of her comment, was wondering what the relationship was.
Is this a new item of input, or is this a repeat of one we had, I believe, last meeting?
It refers to a different edition of the same program, but it's a different complainer. Yeah.
Okay.
The other item that was on here is the item about home addresses. I don't know if we need to go into more detail on that. Basically, any audience members who wish to come and comment, you no longer need to provide your address. In fact, we don't want to hear it. So you can just come and say your name, I guess, and that's good to go. Do you have to say your name?
That's a good question. Let me review what the legal department says here.
It sounds like that
It is
would be.
specifically the home address that
Yeah.
is the subject of this email from
And,
the law
and I
department.
think the argument would be that your name contributes to promoting meeting order and decorum.
Correct.
Okay. The other item was regarding setting rules for public input. I'll go over what our rules have traditionally been. I don't think that that's a formally adopted policy, and I would ask that for our next meeting you put that on the agenda.
Mhm.
Our policy has been that public input shows up at item 7 after the staff report as audience participation. And speakers are given 5 minutes as a baseline. They may ask for more, but usually it's restricted to 5 minutes of basically uninterrupted time. And we actually try not to converse with you while you're giving that public input, but we very much appreciate hearing it, and we after you've spoken we respond and sometimes ask questions. So that's been the practice of this commission and many other Urbana commissions. And if the city happens to have language that codifies that developed for other commissions, I think it would be great if that could be what we adopt as well. Are there any other commissioner comments on that topic, or something they'd like to see in what Jake brings to us next time?
I guess I would wonder if we are going to continue to keep the public comment portion at that number or move it to the front of the agenda. I don't know. That would be something to maybe have a discussion about whether or not that would be important for this meeting, but it is for some evening meetings, I know, when people would like to come in, make their comment, and perhaps not stay for the business of the group. So I don't know if that's something we care to discuss later.
I think we used to do the public input later on in the meeting, and we did move it up till after the staff report so that they wouldn't have to set through unfinished business and new business.
I don't know about whether it should be earlier in the agenda even than it is now, but I do definitely think it should be before unfinished and new business so that we can hear the audience input on those topics. City Council also sometimes takes input at the time of the item. We don't have enough audience participation, I think, to warrant a big infrastructure for supporting that. But I guess my inclination would be, it doesn't seem like it's very far into the meeting now, but if you'd like to propose to move it earlier, that's fine too.
I just don't know if we are supposed to, if the language in this memo says we're supposed to adopt the same language as every other commission, or we're supposed to adopt official language. I'm not really sure how to read that, so.
My understanding of the way it's written is that each commission and board should set its own policies with regard to each of these 5 points that he lists, so.
It also says we're supposed to adopt reduced time limits for an individual's public input where a threshold number of members of the public seek to provide public input. I assume that's an option that we...
It says he may include any one of
include,
these
okay,
5,
right.
but you might want to address each of them as to whether, in fact, you're including them or not when you...
I would be inclined to not bother with reduced time limits because I don't think our audience requires the complexity, and us being, you know, a commission all about public access. I'd rather just give everybody their time, even if the meeting runs long on that really contentious UPTV commission meeting. But that's, you know, something for the commission to decide via vote. Limitations that public input to be limited to topics germane to the agenda. I guess I'd take a quick poll of the group to see whether they think that we should put anything about that in it.
My own feeling is that we should allow broader input than just the items on the agenda.
I would agree, since we meet quarterly, there are fewer opportunities to give your input in a public setting.
All right, that's 2, so that's good enough. No member of the board, commission, or committee which receives public input is obligated to respond. Yes, we should include that we aren't obligated to respond. So, but again, my opinion, but unless I hear otherwise. Okay.
Would it be appropriate for me to draft what you've just said into a document that we would post on the website in addition to placing this on the agenda for the next meeting?
I think so, and possibly getting legal's opinion or getting a starting point from them.
Very good. In that case, I will draft it. I will run it by the chair to make sure that it meets your represents your viewpoints. Then I'll run it by legal. Then I'll post it on the website with the agenda for the next meeting, the next regular meeting.
Perfect. Okay. I think that concludes correspondence, and on to the staff report. Are you going to cover the national awards or
I
the staff report?
can mention them again. We knew about them at the last meeting. We talked about them. It was our first 2 national awards from our national trade organization, the Alliance for Community Media.
Great.
And we were very happy. We have the hardware now, which is nice. Our most, I guess, significant achievement is sort of ongoing. It's under kind of the category of breaking news. We found out that Stephen Saleta, the controversial professor who was unhired by the University of Illinois, was slated to give a press conference in town on Tuesday in Urbana. And we want to thank the folks that produce Aware on the Air, because they gave up their production time to allow us to go and record the press conference. It, so far, as of this morning, has had 7,477 views on YouTube, which exceeds by a factor of more than 2 anything else we've ever posted. And we offered the footage to our news program, Democracy Now!, that we carry, our national news program, and they, in fact, did use some of our footage and gave us an on-screen credit. So that's been what's been going on this week, pretty much, at UPTV. In addition to those views, I should mention that we're up to 1,350 tweets concerning UPTV programming, and we have 358 followers now on Twitter. As regards staff production, we have returned Urbana High School sports to the air, football and soccer. We do one game a week now, and it's seen at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday, and that repeats each Wednesday at 7 p.m. unless a city meeting intervenes. We continue to produce a monthly edition of Art Now, a weekly edition of The Market Menu, a periodic edition of Art at the Market, and a new monthly production that is called It's All About You, which is an informational program about the city of Urbana, department, services, people. And Jason also produced a public service spot concerning smoke-free housing in conjunction with the health department and with Phil Edwards from the fire department. Jason also produced a feature on the Olympian Drive groundbreaking and a 15-minute piece on the 50th anniversary of the CU Urbanized Area Transportation Study, which I didn't even know existed until I saw his piece, so it serves its purpose. We added frequent airings of our productions, CU Sharing the Road about bike safety, and CU Safe Routes to Schools. We increased the frequency of those when we feel new residents are moving into town in August and September. In terms of member productions, I mentioned at the last meeting that we were looking forward to a live broadcast of a teleplay by the Reverend Dr. Eugene Barnes that was aimed at economic pathways for underadvantaged teens. That actually got moved to Champaign, and we were given a copy of the final program yesterday, so we'll be airing that, even though we didn't broadcast it live. WPGU's Illini Drive has returned to the air, their local sports show, and that sports talk show. That's on the air Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., again, city meetings permitting. We had a volunteer film the Westville Labor Day Parade, which I understand is sort of an area institution. We'll be airing that late at nights due to certain content, but we were happy to get that on the air. And we're running a new series called Girls Talk TV, which is by a producer in Washington, D.C., and its target demographic is girls and young women aimed at empowering them for success in life. And that'll be on Sunday evenings. And in terms of upcoming projects, we met yesterday with the marketing person for Mike Brunk. We're going to be engaged in a series of both promotional and educational spots highlighting the new Legacy Tree program that is being put into place, and also various aspects of the landscape recycling center's activities, and probably some more general informational things about tree care, gardening, and the landscape center and things like that. And we hope to be covering the first dedication of the first legacy tree, which will be happening in October. And
Jake,
we have a clips reel for you if you'd like to see it.
Jake, can I clarify? Mike Brunk is not a company, that is the city arborist. So he's a public works employee.
Right.
He happens to engage a marketing person
Right.
to assist.
Yeah.
This is the highlight of the meeting.
The third film that I want to talk about today, and I want you to take this one because I've taken the first two, The Expendables. Can you tell the audience what that film was about?
Old guys
number
blowing
3.
up crap. There you go. It's right there. Same old, same old. You know what? Well, we'll talk about this. Sylvester Stallone, another action epic with the old action heroes. This time, though, it's personal because the bad guy is played by Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, we find out his character used to be an expendable.
Hi, my name is Phil Edwards. I am the Fire Marshal for the City of Urbana. Today I'd like to talk to you about fire safety. One of the top causes of fires in homes is cigarette smoking. In Champaign County alone, there has been 31 fires and at least 2 fatalities in the last 5 years, according to the Office of the State Fire Marshal. When smoking, we would like for you to think about not just the safety of yourself and your family, but the families that are around you. You can practice that type of safety by using extreme caution when smoking.
He's not an anti-Semite, he's not a hater, and the ludicrous notion that a Jewish student, some hypothetical Jewish student on campus, is going to be threatened sitting in his classroom, it's too ludicrous to even comment about. But this is what all these 135 members of the Champaign Country Club have to do in putting their ad. And that's been documented. I mean, they're not all, but that's been documented on this Twitter thing that you can get through the Aware Peace List or through Corey Robbins' website, that it's just, these 135 people, they just, it's like they come out of the woodwork and say, you know, we're the people who run this community.
That's right.
You know, we're not. Who do you think you are? We're Fox. We're Jimmy John. We're you know, we're important people. We're very important people, very serious people, and we want nothing but civility and respect and diversity. And it's a big joke. I almost sweared for a second there on Yusuf Neptune.
Oh, you can't have that.
No.
Decorum, civility.
I almost said what kind of a joke.
Yeah, you have to be a nice guy.
Yeah, right.
Remain responsible.
Yeah, right. As you know, Saletta's gotten into my blood, and I haven't even met this man yet.
More broadly, Salida said school administrations are trampling academic freedom.
As hard as this situation is on me personally, the danger of the university's decision has farther-reaching implications. Universities are meant to be cauldrons of critical thinking. They're meant to foster creative inquiry and, when at their best, challenge political, economic, or social orthodoxy. Tenure, a concept that is over 100 years old, is supposed to be an ironclad guarantee that university officials respect these ideals and do not succumb to financial pressure or political expediency by silencing controversial or unpopular views.
The school's Board of Trustees is expected to take up the controversy at a meeting Thursday. You can go to our website at democracynow.org for our coverage of Professor Salida's unhiring from Tuesday's broadcast.
We're Rebecca Rigo and the Trainmen. Tune in to Urbana Public Television to watch Friday Night Live.
I don't care if you're a drunk, a drug addict, a murderer, a child molester, what you've done in your life. If you are godly sorry for what you have done, then God will forgive you of your sins and cleanse you from all those rights. But you first have to turn from your wicked ways. You have to turn from your wicked ways and humble yourself and pray that God will do this for you.
I just wanted to add before we're done, we're what's known as a PEG station. We have public, educational, and governmental access. Our governmental access involves filming all of the city meetings, bringing them to citizens live and on demand on the city website. Our educational access involves our work with the schools and the school district. And our public access involves just people in our community who have an interest in either learning how to shoot video, learning how to edit video, being their talent on their own programs. They may have not-for-profit organization they'd like to support. We have religious programming. We have everything that anybody is interested in on the air, and people are welcome to get a hold of us, and we'll try to help make their videos a reality.
I am UPTV, Urbana Public Television. I'm UPTV. I'm so
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
You
Can you
already
hear us? Can you hear
know
us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Okay. I am UPTV, Urbana Public Television.
I am UPTV, Urbana Public Television.
We are UPTV, Urbana Public Television.
Be happy to entertain any questions.
Great as always.
I found it's all about you to have high production value, but lacking a little bit in the humor side of things for that.
We'll show you the blooper reel after the meeting.
Okay, unfinished. And if that concludes your report, yeah. On to actually audience participation with our live studio audience. The room is full, of course, as always, but it doesn't look like anyone actually wants to give public input today. The room is not full. And moving on to unfinished business, the Policies and Procedures Division. Where are we at?
It's exactly where we were last time. We're going to try to have those ready for the annual meeting, which I should say is Saturday, December 6th at 12 noon here in the Urbana City Council chambers, 400 South Vine Street in Urbana. We'll be circulating those as soon as they're finished. We finally nailed down the very last pieces of our budget this week, so we're now in a position to be able to finish those off. And as I said at the last meeting, we're going to try to make any policies and procedures revisions a part of the annual meeting from now on, and they'll serve us in the calendar year to come.
Excellent. So just recapping, there is an annual meeting coming up on December 6th, Saturday. That's prior to our next committee meeting, and it's open to the public.
Yes,
as well,
an
but
open
especially
house and a membership.
Right, especially to UPTV members. If you have any interest in becoming a UPTV member, that would be a great time to stop by and meet some others who could either help you along. You could sign whatever document you have to sign to become a UPTV member, and get it all done at one time, and probably have punch or something like that. Is that?
We usually have some light refreshments, as they say.
Cool. I think I'm going to be able to make it this year, so that's good. It's a little earlier than last year. Okay, and moving on to new business, we have a new commissioner, Mr. Wadsworth, Andrew Wadsworth, is that correct?
Yeah, you have that right.
All right. Would you like to introduce yourself? Let us know what motivated you to get on board, and whether you have any particular things you're going to be looking out for.
Well, I didn't prepare a formal speech on that, but I just thought it was time to maybe help the city or be a part of a membership that could use my skill set. I'm an ed technologist by trade, and I practice that at the university, and I teach online, and I'm grandpapa and all the other fun stuff, and I've been here, 22 years, so I thought it was time to serve the community. So I'm delighted to be here, I think.
Well, I'm thrilled to have a some new blood in the team, and hopefully we can keep Urbana and Champaign moving forward. He's also a member of the Cable Commission, which is why I mentioned Champaign there.
Right.
Moving forward in the media and telecommunications world.
Great. Thank you for the welcome.
Next, the equipment purchases. It looks like you're getting an HD camcorder, and other than that, it's just little stuff. Is that right?
Jason will participate as a disembodied voice again.
Okay.
Yeah, so here I am. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay. So, yeah, you kind of already said my report there, Peter. The biggest thing that we have is the Canon HD camera right there, the XF105. This is replacing a staff camera that we previously had, and this is just replacing that. What we do with this staff camera is a lot of the government access productions. Jake already mentioned Market Menu. We filmed a number of Cops Corner with this, and so on and so forth. Any sort of Martin Luther King celebration, which we do every year, we'll take this camera out there and do that, so it's just for staff production. A number of the other items on the equipment purchase list are just accessories to that camera. Outside of the top thing on that list, purchased on the 13th, is a compact flash card, which was used in the Electronics Nexus, our broadcast server.
I don't know if it's an appropriate time to ask this, but have you sorted out the problems with your broadcast and archiving servers? I thought that there was a problem with those last time.
Yeah, the flash card went bad in the Nexus, and we replaced that, and so that is back up and functioning. But we are currently evaluating replacement options for that because it's over 8 years old now. Jason, and I should have mentioned this in the staff report, Jason did attend the ACM National Conference and workshops in Philadelphia, and was actually able to test drive all of the available systems, hands-on while he was there, which was great. So he and I have been talking about it. We're continuing to evaluate that. That's a purchase that will probably be made this fiscal year. And as we said last time, it'll be about in the vicinity of $15,000, we're hoping. Jason, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Thank you.
But it sounds like it's no longer urgent. It's the kind of thing that you're taking your time on. Is that right?
Yeah, it's when you have to replace the transmission in your car. You start looking at new cars.
Got it. Okay. Any other commissioner comments on the equipment? Do you have a Steadicam set up, Jason?
No, we do not. That's something that's been brought up a couple of times, so that might be something that we look forward to purchasing. We actually had one member a couple years ago with the Urbana-Champaign Independent Media Center that was interested in making us from scratch a Steadicam. So I said, if you wanted to make one for us, that I'm perfectly happy with that. But he has since left the community, so maybe he's making another public access station a Steadicam. But that's something that we can look into purchasing. I think it's something that could definitely be used, maybe in other productions outside of just public access as well. I can't think of any offhand government access stuff that we've done in the past, but that doesn't mean that it won't come up. But certainly it's been mentioned a couple times to me from public access producers.
Interesting. Okay. Moving on to the last item on the agenda, commissioners' comments. Does anyone have anything they would like to open up about? I would maybe prompt Mr. Fuller to talk a little bit about any new things that are going on with the schools.
Yes, we have quite a few things going on at Urbana School District 116. We have implemented a Google Apps for Education this year, so we're changing how we're doing our mail and other resources that are available via Google. Urbana Middle School now has a Bring Your Own Device set up, as well as the high school who are following that. We are initiating a Chromebook initiative for grades 3 through 5, where it's an application process. Additionally, the Adult Education Center has a wireless environment that we recently installed. So those are at least 5 of the major things that are going on or either have been accomplished over the last few months at Urbana School District 116.
Cool. Are the so they're doing one game a week now, broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
There was some talk of a cooking show. Is that what?
Yeah,
whether
I'll
that's
follow
moving
up
forward?
with Mrs. Price and Mrs. Geigner to see what's the status of that, because we talked about that early in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what has happened with that
Okay,
since then, so maybe we'll have some more information at our next meeting.
sounds good.
And I believe we'll have tonight's football game on the air tomorrow, if I'm correct. Jason will tell me if I'm not.
That is correct. Champaign Central Maroons and the Urbana Tigers will have that on tomorrow.
Oh, that's
Crosstown rivalry.
Yeah, it's going to be a game. Okay. Without any other commissioners' comments, I'll mention that the next meeting is December 12th, 6 days after the annual meeting, which you're all invited to, at 12 noon here in the Urbana City Council chambers.
And Chair Folk, I just wanted to mention, in response to Commissioner Cinder's remarks last time, I did add regular meeting to our website for each meeting that is a regular meeting. So it now states that explicitly.
Excellent. Okay, and I guess I'd take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, sounds good. This meeting is now adjourned.